Hello, students, and welcome to today's online English lesson. It's number 32, and today we're talking about space. I hope you're ready. Outer space. I know some of my students really like learning about outer space. Other students, not so much, but I hope this lesson will be enjoyable for everyone. I'm going to ask some interesting questions at the end of today's lesson about, is it worth it to explore outer space? And hopefully you can share your opinions if you think it's worth it or not. But one of the reasons why I chose today's topic is just because, I was looking online at a lot of, climate change things, and the world is sort of getting hotter. The climate is getting unstable, and what will the future look like for humanity? So it made me start thinking about, well, maybe we have to go to outer space and build the next civilization. I know this is in the very distant future, but that got me started in searching about today's topic. So today's topic is called Hunting for Planets, the search for exoplanets. Exoplanets is explained in the article, but I'll just give you a brief introduction. So this article is about scientists called astronomers who search for planets that are not connected to our sun. Our sun is a star, and there are several planets spinning around our sun. But there are other planets circling around other stars in the universe. And so astronomers are searching for those planets, and they're trying to find one that is similar to our planet. But let's start the article, and we can read about it, and you guys can study about space. Please enjoy. Let's start. Hunting for Planets, the search for exoplanets. It took humanity thousands of years to explore planet Earth, and it took centuries to find out about our neighboring planets, the solar system. These days, scientists are discovering new planets every week. In fact, astronomers have identified almost 4,000 exoplanets, which means planets that don't orbit our sun. For example, there is a planet that looks like Saturn, 260 light years away. It spins so quickly that 1 year lasts only 3 days on that planet. Another example are 5 planets that are circling something called a pulsar, which is a star that has died and it's shrunk down to the size of a city. The goal that these astronomers have is to find planets that resemble our Earth. They are looking for planets that orbit their stars at just the right distance from their star, not too hot or too cold. It's called the habitable zone. The habitable zone. However, they have not found anything that is like our Earth. If the planet is too close to the star, it becomes too hot, and all the water on that planet will burn up and fade away. If the planet is too far away, it becomes too cold, and any surface water will stay frozen forever. Habitable planets are very hard to find. There are few ways of finding exoplanets. One is to use a telescope to find a planet. This is the easy way to search for exoplanets. The other way of discovering the planet is to analyze the star's light and see if it loses brightness when studying it. If it becomes dim, it means something is passing in between the telescope and the star, which means that a planet is orbiting that star. The big question is, why are astronomers trying to find exoplanets that are similar to Earth? Well, one reason could be to try and find a future home for humans. Maybe in the distant future, humans will expand to another Earth-like place. And so astronomers are hunting for that second home now. The other reason is to detect life. If a planet is in the habitable zone, it should have water and the elements needed to produce life. If life exists on these planets, astronomers want to know what it is like. It should be much more different than life on our Earth. Recently, a giant super Earth has been discovered. It's called Gliese 581d. It's not a very easy to say name. It is orbiting a giant dwarf star. Dwarf stars are good places to look for habitable zone exoplanets. They are similar to the sun, and they are dim but provide a steady amount of light to these exoplanets. Gliese 581d is 7 times bigger than Earth, and it lies in the habitable zone. Based on research and theory, Gliese should have water and atmosphere, which means there's a good chance it will have life. But what kind of life is yet to be seen? All these great explorations, to the deep jungle, to the bottom of the ocean, to the moon and the stars, show us that humans are curious about what is around them. The search for exoplanets is no different, and humans will continue to reach out and see what is in the universe. With all the new technology that astronomers are using to find exoplanets, it seems that billions of habitable planets must exist in the universe, which gives them hope that they will eventually find life in outer space. They hold the hope of expanding human knowledge and human imagination. All right. Well, that's it for today's reading, but let's talk about more of these exoplanets. And I also did some research on other examples of exoplanets that I want to talk about. Before we talk about it, let's look at our vocabulary very quick. I'm going to look at our vocabulary, then we're going to talk more about exoplanets. The first word in our vocab is orbit. Orbit means the path of a planet around a star. Earlier, I said the planet is circling the Earth, but orbit is also another word for circling. So a planet spins and it orbits. So it's spinning while it's going around the star. And Earth, for example, orbits the sun, and it takes 365 days for one rotation of its orbit. But as we saw in the example, there is a star like Saturn that orbits so quickly around the star that it only takes 3 days to go around the whole star, which means that's 1 year on that planet. So I wonder, how old am I? How old are we if we lived on that planet? 3 days is 1 year, so it's pretty old. Our next word is astronomers. Astronomers is an expert in the study of space, celestial objects, and the physical universe. The word celestial means an object in outer space, a celestial object, a space object. Okay, the next word is habitable, which is a little difficult to pronounce, so let's practice. Please listen. Habitable. So the word habitat comes from this word, habitable, able to live in a habitat. So habitable means suitable or good enough to live in. And in the article, we said that astronomers are looking for a planet that is in the habitable zone, which means the area that's not too hot or too cold. The area within a good distance from the star. The next word is dim. The word dim means a light which is not shining brightly or clearly. And we use this, we can use this as a verb. If I said, please dim the lights, please dim the lights. So that means like, please make the light less bright. Usually dimmed light is good atmosphere for like a dinner table. A very bright light is good atmosphere, or is appropriate atmosphere for an office or study time. In the article, we said if the so we talked about how the telescope tries to find a planet, and it says if the star becomes dim, it means something is passing in between the telescope and the star. What this means is there's a star here, and the telescope is here looking at the star. And if the star becomes dim, it's because something is blocking the star. So maybe a planet is getting in between the star and the telescope looking at it. So we know, oh, there must be a planet there because every once in a while that star becomes dim. Something is blocking it. So a planet is passing over it. Okay, and the last word is theory. A theory is an idea used to explain something. So they said, in the article, it says based on research and theory. So it's just their idea that because Gliese is in the habitable zone, it should have water and atmosphere. They can't prove that. They haven't studied the planet's surface, Gliese's surface. It's too far away. But based on research and theory, an idea to explain something, they believe that Gliese should have water. All right, those are our vocabulary words for today. Let me go back to the large size video. Okay, so I studied a little bit about exoplanets. There were some more examples. They talked about different stars. Some stars expand really big, and the planet gets swallowed by the sun. So, like, if this is the planet and the sun gets bigger, the planet just disappears into the sun, into the star, which, that planet is gone. And the opposite thing happens. The sun or the star, it dies and it becomes really small. And because it becomes small and it loses its gravitational pull, the gravity on the planet is no more. So the planet just drifts off into space. And these are called, what was the word? Like chaser planets or like running planets. I forget the word, but a planet that just drifts into space and it travels on its own forever until I guess it hits something. But these planets also exist. They're just traveling in space. It made me kind of scared because if the Earth suddenly, or if our sun, something happens to it, it expands or dies, Earth could just leave the solar system and just travel into outer space. And that would be the end of the Earth. What else did I want to talk about? Oh, so I was reading how astronomers find planets, and it was really interesting. I talked about two of the ways. One is to use a telescope to see the planet, and the other was to look at the star and see if it gets dim. Well, there was a third way, and that is they look at the star very, very carefully, and if the star moves a little bit, they can see that the star is being pulled by a planet. So, gravity is like a link between two objects. One object is really big and one object is small. So the big object pulls the small object around it. But that small object also has a pull. So if the big object moves just a little bit, scientists have reasoned that they believe that a planet is pulling the star a little bit. So that's the third way that they figure out if a star has a planet connected to it. However, they said almost all stars have planets, and those planets are not in the habitable zone. So the habitable zone is kind of a miracle. And very few planets live in the habitable zone, so it's very difficult to find those planets, which means, life on Earth is like a miracle. It means that us being here is a miracle, and us being created through evolution from small like organism all the way to humans and all the animals is a miracle. So the astronomers, when they talked about if they found life on another planet, it would be so different and so unique from us that the aliens might not even look like humans or look or stand on two legs or something like that. They talked about a lot of different interesting examples of what animals might look like on other stars, other planets, in different areas. But it was very interesting stuff to read about. And let's move on to our discussion questions. So our first discussion question is, what do you think are the benefits of finding an exoplanet? So do you think there are benefits of finding exoplanets? What are they? Question number 2. Do you think we will eventually find living things on another planet? Do you think we will find it? Number 3. In the future, will humans move to another planet? What do you guys think? Will humans move to another planet? Do you think that's realistic? I guess a bonus question is, how far in the future do you think that would happen, if we will? Number 4, if you could meet an alien from another planet, what would you like to ask them? If you could talk to an alien from another planet, what would you say? What would you ask them? What do you want to know? Finally, the last question is, do you think this kind of space exploration is worth it? Is it beneficial for humans? So the astronomers are working very hard. Do you think this is beneficial research? Do you think it's worth it to explore exoplanets, to try to find exoplanets? So if yes, why? If no, why not? All right, and I'll answer one of these questions. So question number 4 says, if you could meet an alien from another planet, what would you like to ask them? And, like on Earth, religion is such an important part of many cultures. Many people believe in God or in the afterlife. We talked about Obong recently, and we talked about the culture and the religion, about the spirits coming back to visit us, our ancestors, and we have many cultural rituals and things like that. So I'd probably want to ask the alien, what religion do you guys have, and what do you guys believe in? And do you guys have cultural rituals connected to religion? Do you have an afterlife and things like that? I'd kind of want to know about, what they believe in after death, or do they believe in a god, or do they have similar religions that we have on Earth? So I think that would be pretty interesting to know about. But I want to know what you guys think of, so please send me your answers, and I'll be happy to answer them, and I'm looking forward to reading your email. Thanks for listening to lesson number 32, the search for exoplanets. I know some of you might not be the most interesting topic, but I hope you can talk about your opinion on space, exoplanets, space research, and so on. And I look forward to hearing about it then. All right, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye, everyone.